Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. You're still tuned into the Lowdown, and we thank you for that. Now, coming up next, my guest has done something really creative. Now, the world of craft beers has grown exponentially, but this man has taken it as far as cooking with craft beers. I want y'all to give it up from A Taste the Craft. Y'all give it up for Vincent Moore. Yes. What's going on, Vincent?
Hey y'all. Hey, how you doing?
Man, I am absolutely wonderful. Thank you first off, man, for being on the show today. Looking forward to this conversation.
Yeah, I am as well. I love talking about cooking. I love talking about beer. And
Hey.
together.
Okay. Well, let's get a little background information. Now, before you actually were a chef, you were in the entertainment business. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yes, that kind of came through from uh, just the relationships I had. I love music. I love being able to be around it. And through that, um, I met a lot of artists because I was buying their music. I would talk to them, and we became friends. And then that opened up the doors for the comedian aspect because comedians and musicians kind of hang together or they combine the two together. And through that, just those relationships, I was able to connect other people with other people. And before I knew it, I was getting phone calls. Hey, how can you help me with this or help me with that? And so I was a part of a company that started one of the first online uh, presentations for motion pictures in Southern California. And so it was a bunch of guys that came together and we formed that company. Who knew? It blew up, and we ended up. I became the vice president of that company of broadcast promotions, and from that point, I was able to work with some of the comedians, work with some of the other independent artists, and through that, just had a good time with a lot of food and a lot of great conversation. And so we would talk during that time frame about how we would cook and what we would do in our families, and
Mm-hmm.
that extended into kind of the almost the birth of a seed being planted of hey, you know what, maybe this might be something down the road that I can really love to do, and but I just couldn't figure out at that point how to kind of make that into something that could pay the bills at the same time being able to do the things that I love to do. And years later, here I am with the solution as the journey had kind of unfolded. So that was my journey into a little bit into the entertainment world. And once you're in, you never get
It's like the mob, baby. Now, I love the
Oh
fact that
yeah. Well,
food is
on a
always
good sense though, on a good sense.
absolutely. Now, food is always the common denominator in anything that we do in life, man. And your love of food is one I share because I came from being a chef myself. So, what brought you to food that way? Just the fact that you would always feed everybody when y'all get together?
That goes back to my family legacy. I grew up actually with chefs and didn't even know it.
Mm.
When you're growing up and all the food is great, and one of the best chefs at the time was my mother. And my grandfather at the time was one of the number one chefs sought after in New Orleans.
Okay.
And back in those days, um, the main restaurants would bring in somebody to actually cook, and then they would do the stuff, and then they would leave, and then whoever's the head chef at that time would probably get all the credit. Well,
Credit.
my grandfather was he was one of those guys that was sought after, and so everybody knew him, Lawrence, and he did amazing stuff. And so he taught my mother everything, and she came from a family of what, a total of 11 kids.
Mm.
They have little bit of a larger families down in Nolens, because that's
Yes,
where
sir.
this was based. That was in New Orleans, but we say Nolens. And from that, all that was passed on to her. It was family legacy recipes that were passed down from generation to generational. It goes all the way back to 1863,
Whew.
and that's a whole other story. So these are some key recipes, and I was taught those I wouldn't say as a, something that I sought after. It was something that started off as discipline because I had two choices. My mother would say, come in here and do the prep work with me, or sit down here and watch this soap opera with me. And I'm like, oh, no sands through the hourglass.
There you go. You know what, Mama? I'm gonna cut these carrots. Yes, I
Exactly. I was
am.
chopping. I said, oh, yes, oh, yes.
And I
And
love
so
how
the
you
prep,
tied. I love how you tied that in together. The fact that you call yourself legacy chefs, and you basically passing on the legacy of what your grandma and your mom gave you when it came to cuisine in New Orleans.
oh, yeah, oh, yeah. And from that, I had lots of friends, families over. They were some large parties, by the way. And they're like, hey, why don't you do a catering business? I said, oh, no, I just want to have friends and family over, and I'll just do it all for y'all because that's the way my mom, my grandmother did it. Whoever came over, whenever they came over, at whatever time, they
Mm-hmm.
were cooking.
That's
And
right.
so it was a lot of family, a lot of stories, a lot of different characters that would show up to be able to get kind of those delectable foods. And I was being groomed and didn't even know it. My mom was like, okay, now here's your test. Because someday you're gonna be out on your own. I want to make certain that you know what you're
Hmm.
doing. So she said, go over to, went in the kitchen. She opened up the doors and said, fix me something.
Okay. All right. Now, Vincent,
Every
don't.
chef knows what that means.
That means now we're going to take a quick little break. When we get back, we're going to talk about the kind of the exciting things that you're actually doing with the Legacy brand and some of the interesting things you're doing as far as entertainment and bringing food together. We'll be right back on the Lowdown. Hey, welcome back, everybody. We're still having a great conversation with Legacy Chef Vincent Moore. All right, Vince. Now,
Yes.
yeah, we started to talk about it a little bit, but I wanted to talk about the fact you took all these recipes, everything that you had learned from your fam, and you actually put it online. And people can actually register and they can go to the website and they can actually learn through video all the recipes that you want to pass down.
Yeah. And how that came about was actually, uh, I used to actually do the events and have different people come to those events.
Mm-hmm.
And as we all know, we went through some trying times these past couple of years, with COVID, that impacted so many different families. And
Mm-hmm.
it pretty much locked down what people could go and do. And
Yes.
so here I am in my home cooking up a storm.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, let me just start doing some videos and just start sending those out. And a friend of mine said, Vince, hey, why don't you? These are funny and it's also entertaining. And
Yeah.
it gives me something to do during this time frame that I could do with my family and
Yeah.
friends. And so I started doing the videos focused on that. And I started to remember as I was doing the videos, some of the funny things, all the different stuff that happened in families. And I'm like, man, this is just like a legacy of, just a blend of that. And I wanted to be able
Absolutely.
to encourage people. That's the reason, that was the start of the whole series, was that online. So I added that to the actual online platform that I helped design and do.
Mm-hmm.
And from that point, I started inviting people in, not just domestically, but internationally.
Yes, you
So
did.
a lot of the access to these videos actually are for folks that are around the world. And they can come on, they can look at it, do it, remember the things that they have as legacy recipes, but then to share into some of the things that I've created and that would be unique. And so I blended the two worlds together that I love, which is great, soulful recipes, but I also
Okay.
wanted to make it healthy during this time. So some of the things that we kind of add into some of our family recipes may not be as healthy as it should be, but they're
Maybe not.
great. Maybe not. So I give an option and say, hey, you can add this instead of that. And then I then started to bring in the actual craft beers because if you think about it, it's natural ingredients that it's made from. And also, when you do cook it, it cooks out all the alcohol and leaves the flavor. So look at it as seasoning. And each
Okay.
style of craft beer is a different style of seasoning. And it elevates the actual foods that you have and gives it that extra little twist that you may not have had with or without it. And so that started the whole premise of me educating people and being able to do that. So I've done countless of recipes, created off the wall recipes that you may not even think that would be fabulous, but turned out to be great, because you got to push the envelope. You got to
You
go
got to.
ahead as chefs. We got to be able to get out there.
That's
Be
right.
afraid to step out there, because you never know what that taste is going to be like. Some of the best recipes in this world were created by mistakes.
That's right. Somebody dropped a piece of toast in some egg and fried it up, and that was French toast.
Yeah.
There you go. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I love the fact
Reach
too.
over.
I want to mention the fact
Oh,
that
go
you
ahead.
actually have a physical location and you kind of fused a lot of things together, not just craft beer and food, but you have a venue where you serve all this great food and you also have entertainment with music and comedy, and people can just come and it's a whole vibe.
Yes, we did that. And I wanted to be able to do it where when you do something once, you want to make certain that it reaches as many people as possible. So the
Mm-hmm.
best platform was that was online. So I
Mm-hmm.
created my in-home uh, cooking and
Mm-hmm.
presented that online for access for everybody to see. So it is actually my real kitchen that's there. And just like everybody at their home, and they're doing their things for their own personal legacies, you get that intimate feeling. You can put your music in the background. Uh, and, you know, if you're into jazz, if you're into country, into whatever type of music that gets and floats your boat, that's is part of your creativity when you're cooking. And we either have it in our heads if we're doing it professionally. We got those
Yes.
tunes on. I see some of those chefs, they got the little earplugs up in there and they're doing their thing, or they have it internally. Somehow there's music going on inside as well as being creating that great food on the outside. And those two that blend together gives you those wonderful recipes and things that are happening. I show when and how when you're adding in certain libations, is what I call them, because I cook more than I've been experimenting more with craft beers, but also what is also made, which is the distilled drinks as well, that is being made out
Mm-hmm.
there from scratch as well, which is totally different from those that you may taste or see in the stores. And the stories behind those people that create that, I've worked with them. I've had them come in. We've in the house. They've eaten the food, and we've had great stuff. I've gone onto their locations that they actually have a brewery, and say, hey, just come in here and provide this to some of the people here. And I would just bring it, and then everybody be blown away that, wow, you made this with craft beer. I cannot believe it.
I can't
What's your
wait.
website? Where can I look at
Yeah.
this at?
And
And
now I want
so
you
I
to,
would then tell them, and
yeah, I
then
want you to tell
that's what
everybody
grew the
right now.
audience.
I want people to support you like I have become a fan. I want people to definitely go to the website. They want to follow you on social media. So before we go, can you please share with them what that is?
Absolutely. It's Taste the Craft, and that's with a C, .net. And I like the fact that it is tastethecraft.net, because if you're a basketball fan, it is nothing but the net to go along with it. So it makes it easy to remember.
Yeah! Yes! Yes! Oh, oh! What? Oh, me?
Yes. All for you. All for you.
Oh, thank y'all so much. Mike, they love us.
They are prepaid.
They,
sir.
all right, nice.
There you go. Yeah.
I will pay you back.
Sure.
Never. But
All
thank
right.
you.